of course, we don't have a quorum, so we'll have to defer approval of our minutes from our last meeting. And our council administrator, Cheryl Kidd, has had a family emergency to attend to. So our deputy administrator, Jeff McDaniels, is here to give us a brief administrator report.
Mr. President, members of the council, a few notes here. You have the agenda before you as it relates to the departmental budget with direction from President O'Quinn. We're advancing the essential expenses aligned with your feedback to him. And we're making progress towards completing those things within this fiscal year. One example are the vacant FTEs within the department. We anticipate to have those FTEs filled before this fiscal year is up. District budget. Counselors, we want to thank you and your team members for prioritizing your transactions as we prepare to close this fiscal year. With about 25 discretionary contracts or appointment letters in progress, all of your general fund accounts are between 80% to 100% utilization. Departmental concerns, I think this was addressed in part by Mayor Whiffen, but I want to emphasize this as it relates to our department. We have 2 employees who have experienced a disruption in their direct deposit payroll disbursement. However, we're working with our payroll specialists, and we anticipate the issue being resolved, if not this payroll cycle, the next payroll cycle. There was no loss of payment. They were just taken out of direct deposit and given a live check. But again, it is being addressed. Travel invitations that the council has received. We've confirmed our delegates for the League of Municipalities convention in Huntsville. And the travel advance has already gone before the council, and those items, as it relates to your advances, will be processed by Mrs. Horn. Planning is underway for the participating counselors for the 3rd Economic Development Academy. We're looking forward to confirming a date for June, and hopefully that confirmation will come before the week. I do want to emphasize off script that they would like to see the 4 participating council members and someone from the administration.
Heard that, Chaz?
The Business Council of Alabama's 2024 Governmental Affairs Conference is scheduled for August 9th through the 11th in Point Clear. Lodging is still available at this time for those of you who are interested in registering and attending the conference. The 53rd Annual Legislative Conference of the Congressional Black Caucus is set for September 11th through the 15th. And I believe you have, if you are registered with their website, you receive a communication notifying you of that. So if registration, I can't confirm, but if registration is open, you can begin registering. If it's not, I think it will be coming soon. Mr. President, that concludes the administrator's report. If there are any questions or directives that I can answer or execute, let me know.
All right, questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our next item. Today we have with us Isaac Cooper, who's the CEO of IMC Financial Consulting. He's going to give us an update on the Financial Freedom Project.
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, I almost said it again and get a little bit more energy, but I'm not in the classroom. So you received some information from me prior to really give a breakdown of what we've been able to focus on with the Financial Freedom Project. One of the elements that makes it unique is that we're not just in the classroom. We are providing solutions for the faculty and the staff and the parents as well through 2 different channels. One through our workshops, which it breaks down all the intake data that we're able to capture, but also through our one-on-one consultations. And so it's been truly incredible to be able to see what's been able to manifest now that we are on the heels of completing year 2. And so I'll quickly just go through some of the information that you have in front of you, just talk about specifically the curriculum. As you know, the state of Alabama actually mandated financial literacy at the 9th grade level starting in school year 2024 and 2025. So they've been scrambling different districts on trying to identify the best way to satisfy these standards, but at the same time, make sure that these students are having an incredible experience inside the classroom. So we brought on different specialists as we've gotten into year 2 to make sure that not only the design of what we've been able to put in place here in Birmingham, but it's also effective. So in the first page, you'll see just where we've been able to map our standards to the state standards with the curriculum that we've designed. You'll learn more about our methodology. And then as well, what is dictated as a national standard when it pertains to financial literacy. One of the last things I mentioned when it pertains to the curriculum aspect is that when we last met, one of the questions I believe Councilwoman Clark posed when we look at third-party partners. So we actually put out an RFP to make sure that we had someone assess our curriculum and our data. And we've got some interesting responses thus far because we're looking to partner with colleges and universities. The RFP, we still have a date certain until we're able to share publicly who we will be working with. But ultimately, we've already gained interest from Texas A&M University. They actually have the #1 financial planning program in the country. And so they loved how our design not only focused on metrics and KPIs that we'll be able to move for the students around these different elements that may not be tangible for an elementary school student, but it is tangible for a high school student that's about to graduate in the next 6 weeks or so, right? And so the fact that we've been able to design a solution like this in a time in which financial literacy is literally a civil rights issue, and the fact that Birmingham is the model because we got different opportunities in New York, Montgomery County, down in Jacksonville, Florida, and as well in St. Louis. And so we've really been able to develop what this solution looks like that's not a product, but it's more of a program that has more sustainability to it. The second attachment that you'll have is the virtual workshops impact. So just as I mentioned, the workshops are a way for us to be able to engage with the district representatives. So it could be faculty and the staff or the parents and caretakers. And as you can see, we've done 10 workshops since November. So 10 workshops with November. We'll have a topic-based workshop that could be around budgeting, credit, investing, and then we'll have another workshop that we deem as planning with the experts. So we'll bring in an expert on whatever topic may be. It could be around taxes, it could be around investing, it could be around estate planning to make sure that the faculty and the staff, but also the parents are getting these resources because if these students are learning this information in the classroom, we do have to make sure that these parents have access to this info as well. And so as you can see, just in the 10 workshops over close to 700 registrants, and we actually just facilitated another one that we need to add to here, close to 700 registrants, and you'll see the data we've been able to pull from these individuals that we would like to retain in the city. Because when we think about developing top talent in the city of Birmingham, we have to make sure that those that are in front of the students, we are aware of what their priorities are. And as you can see, student loans was one of the major priorities that we've been able to address, and that is the difference between renting a home and buying a home. And we could simplify it down. That's the difference between going to a Chris Brown concert, right? And so just to be able to free up some of these discretionary income for those that are really stewarding these next leaders to take on some of these responsibilities, it's really been exciting to be able to hear some of the feedback from them, not only faculty and staff, but from principals and moving on up. And there's a few pages there, and again, you'll see the breakdown on the different sessions. So again, December was tax strategies with side jobs. So anyone that's making some 1099 money, some of the things in which you can benefit by the end of the, I think we all getting that message. By the end of the tax year. Okay, all right, everybody. Well, it ain't nobody in here. Okay, all right, yeah. So we all had a reason to pull our phone out, okay.
Yes.
January was around budgeting, and then we did another workshop around text time. February, earning potential for educators. March, public service loan forgiveness. Last year, I want to say we were close to about 600,000 of student loans that we have tangible receipts that's been forgiven. We're approaching $1 million right now. And again, that's strictly faculty and staff here with Birmingham City Schools. And then we recently just did a workshop partnering with Legal Services of Alabama on estate planning. And they provided the free resources that they were able to distribute based off of the prerequisites. And the last piece here is the one-on-one consultations that's being facilitated real time. this has been a breath of fresh air. What I love the most about the design of the one-on-one financial consulting is that, yes, we do have a team with financial experts with 20-plus years of experience, but the first conversation is actually with a social worker, a licensed social worker, to make sure that there is not necessarily a readiness with their finances, but just a readiness emotionally. Finances are emotional. And knowing that we work with every tax bracket, from professional athletes to business owners to one-income households to two-income households, regardless of how much money someone makes, what is important to them is emotional. And so we want to make sure that we surround them with the professionals to make sure that we can ensure that there is effective solutions, not necessarily just this, as I like to call, lollipop type solutions. So you can see some of the information that we've been able to gather on the ages of the individuals that's facilitated these one-on-one consultations, the roles that they have, the range in credit scores, if they have student loans, if they're participating in the 403B. So this is good resources for us to be able to not only inform ourselves on how to design and keep providing solutions, but to work directly with Birmingham City Schools and let them know that, hey, based off of the results that we've been able to extract with these interactions, here are some areas that we see as potential bright spots that we can highlight to further any initiatives that they currently have. So I'll pause there and see if there's any questions. And again, there's a lot more meat into the attachments that's been sent thus far. But I did want to spend time with the council and share just some of the impact that's happening. We got individuals in the classroom as we speak, so we're not done just yet with this school year, but we did at least want to follow up from October, November to share how things have been going.
I'll jump in with the first question. So, are you guys thinking about long-term sort of longitudinal, study and tracking these different individuals that you're working with because oftentimes somebody's financial situation, it takes some time for that to change. And you need more than just, the short period of time that you have with them, but likely the information that you're, sharing with them, the resources that you're sharing with them, may impact decisions that they make, 5, 10 years down the road. Hopefully it does.
Right.
That's what we hope for. So are you thinking about, that sort of long-term longitudinal tracking?
Yes, sir, and that's an excellent question. That's probably the cornerstone of our design. So within the first 2 years, we made a heavy investment in our software to make sure that we could keep that type of relationship alongside the recommendations that's been made. So we're about 95% done on building our software on Salesforce. That allows us to be able to keep in touch, as you point, from the messaging, because we want to know what those wins are. And just as we've been communicating internally with the team, this is literally a financial planning solution for people that don't qualify for a Merrill Lynch or a Stern AG or a Goldman Sachs, right? And unfortunately, this audience has been the one that's been taken advantage of the most because of their ignorance on these different topics. And so we see this as a protective measure that's needed due to the increase in technology and access to these different forms of folk capital that's not necessarily in the best interest of these audiences. And so we see the long-term impact, and we want to join them on that journey. So yeah, absolutely, we're dialed in that.
Okay. Do you have a hotline in case somebody's tempted to go to a payday loan?
Well, and that's a tough situation because, oh Lord, y'all about to get me into a rant. It's a tough situation because, unfortunately, payday loans are. It is unfortunate that it is the only form of capital they feel like they have access to. And sometimes that payday loan is a difference between them keeping the lights on or not. And so as much as I want to eliminate them, I would rather identify an alternative that is a bit more responsible, that doesn't take advantage of their desperation. But one of the most recent data points, and Regis beat me up, but you shared it with me, but the average income of payday loans within this particular area was around $70,000. And that was a bit of a shock, right? Like, these are individuals that that may be riding around in a Mercedes or a BMW, right? And things happen. And the difference that we've seen with those in the higher tax brackets is that if they can't call a bank, they could call a friend, right? And that's the other form of capital that they have access to, which is human capital, which ultimately turns into some resource capital. So we are informing them on how interest rates eats into the value of their dollar, and alongside inflation. So the students, I can tell you now, the students know that they're not big fans of payday loans, for sure, not fans at all.
Questions? Council Williams.
Thanks, Mr. President. Thanks for this report. Just one quick question. Now that the state has required financial literacy going forward, and I'm not sure when that goes into effect, I assume it's the following.
Yes, sir, school year
academic
2024, 2025.
Yeah, so is there a desire to continue funding from the city of Birmingham, or will you get funding from the school board at this point?
So we've talked about us getting funding from the school board on a multi-year contract. I think the best way for us to position ourselves is just show the results with our stakeholders for the city of Birmingham, Birmingham City Schools. And with us having a design that includes the students and the parents and adults, I think that there is a shared fate in regards of the end result of this program. Alongside that, we did meet with the state representative that sponsored the financial literacy bill. He is a big fan of what we've designed here in Birmingham as well. And so we're looking to, use some business jargon, design a capital stack that includes the different forms of resources that allows us to be able to support the personnel to distribute this organization, but also just the technology and the organizations that we're partnering with. So we are in current conversations with Birmingham City School on how we can be factored in their overall budget.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Clark.
Hey, I just want to commend you on the parent engagement in the offering. I think that's very impressive, the percentage of parents. And wanted to just ask you about sort of the class day. Are you finding that with the number of schools you're targeting, but it looks like you're really focusing on curriculum design and ways to integrate it?
So we got a separate presentation on the in-person instruction. We are having, I'm a kid in a candy store, to be completely honest. I just taught a class this morning.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said I'm a kid in the candy store, to be completely honest.
So you're having a lot of good reception.
Absolutely. I know school is amazing, but the students often say, when Tuesday, Wednesday, when it's financial literacy day at that particular school, they are very excited because we're talking about money, right? And so who doesn't want to talk about money in a way in which they'll be able to use it in their own benefit? So it could be as at our middle school classes, they're playing Roblox, they're playing these video games where these exchanges of resources, now they have a better understanding of how their household is managing resources. So they may come home and turn the lights off. They're like, why you turn the lights off? Well, I learned today that variable expenses is tied to your light bill, right? And so, so they're very receptive in the classroom.
Yeah, and I guess my question is, the receptivity of the school to fit it into the class day.
Yes.
So you're finding that's not as hard as it, because, the class day is
Absolutely
loaded already, so.
And it's an excellent question because that ultimately could be the Achilles heel of this program.
Yeah.
One of the things that we did on the front end when we met with the instructional superintendents at Birmingham City School, we first met with the principals before we deployed it in the classroom. And we learned, but also aligned the class in which we would be in to make sure that the math standards is correlated within its curriculum to where it doesn't seem separate, right? And so if the students, prime example, students are learning about unit proportion in the 8th grade. So that 2 units equal $5, 4 units equal $10, find the variance there. We'll pull up a menu of Green Acres. All right, 4 wings cost this, 5 wings cost this. That's unit proportion, but it's never said that way, right? And so we work directly, and also part of one of the hires in the second year is to make sure that we had a curriculum design specialist to ensure that the math standard, if it's at 4th grade, math standard, if it's at 8th grade, or even at the 12th grade level, is interwoven within the curriculum so they can complement what they're going to be tested on at the core level. And we got, there's going to be a few videos we'll be circulating. We got some testimonials from teachers that's been able to share with us how that correlation has been able to happen
Yeah.
in the classroom.
Yeah, because if it's helping them, meet their objectives,
Right.
they're likely to be more receptive.
Absolutely.
And not feel like it's taking them away.
Right.
Taking time away from what they have to do.
Absolutely.
Or accomplish. On the virtual workshops, you mentioned the word registrants a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that registrants register, but don't always
Absolutely.
show up when it's time for the webinar. So what is your uptake? What's your translation from, do you have a measurement or a rate?
Absolutely.
At which people are following through once they register?
Yeah,
And I gather you're capturing data at registration so that you have something, whether they
Right.
show up or not.
Right, right. That's right. We're going to get that information. Our highest attendance rate in correlation to our registration was around student loan forgiveness, as you can imagine. So we probably had close to 300 folks register, and we had about 120 folks on the live the whole time. So it'll range in between about 40 to 60%, roughly.
Yeah, that's what I see, about 50%.
Right.
I
And-
always overbook.
That's right. That's
My
right.
train.
A good thing we got to pay for food, so
Yeah.
that helps on that. The other way in which we capture those that may have registered, but it may have been a timing issue. Hey, I had to drop my daughter off at practice or whatever it may be. We created a private YouTube channel that gives them the ability to watch the workshops afterwards. And so we track those views.
Okay.
And then before they could watch the channel, they have to register again. So we could see the date and when they watched it, so we can at least be able to,
Okay.
control as much as possible.
So you get to know who registered but ended up watching it later?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Mr. Cooper? All right. I had a question. So now that this is required, curriculum, is there any intention to at some point have some standardized testing, or, is that covered by any of the existing standardized testing? I mean, how's the state, going to measure,
Yeah.
the implementation of this curriculum, how do they track that?
Yeah, so excellent question. Our next meeting is going to be with the state representatives to be able to get more clarity on it. As of right now, the state standard for financial literacy is going to be facilitated at the 9th grade level. There is a book form, but also curriculum under the umbrella of career readiness that all schools have access to now that actually satisfies 80% of the requirements. So the schools are really just need to complement that 80% with the amount of hours that are required to be able to satisfy that, pretty much checking that off, and then the information that is available as well. So we're looking to come in and complement that on the front end, and then learn more about this design, because as of right now, it's just at the 9th grade level. And so they're still trying to learn the iteration between 9th, 10th, 11th, or, even if they go down with it as well. So it's still, they're building a plane and flying it at, as we speak. But the good thing is that, we got to wait to the runway.
Right, yeah, yeah, it's a big leap forward to just have anything, I've said this to you many times before, I think that, I know my parents never sat down, with me with their checkbook and explained it, where they're, it was sort of a taboo subject.
That's right.
And I think that's most people's experience, that, you don't talk about, the family's finances,
right.
So, and so as a result, most of us have had to figure it out on our own as adults.
That's right.
So, all of these, especially young folks who are getting this education, will hopefully be better prepared for independence and not make some of the same mistakes and learn the hard way that some of us have had. So, thank you for the presentation. I don't think we have any additional questions. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. All right, next up, we have Judge Sparks from Municipal Court, who's going to give us a overview of municipal court operations.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's great to see each of you, Council President O'Quinn, Council President Pro Tem Alexander, to all the other members of the council. I am Andre Sparks, and I have the honor of serving the city as the presiding judge. And I want to thank Council President O'Quinn for the invitation to come to this meeting to talk about municipal court operations. The people you see behind me are the men and women who work at municipal court.
All of them?
A lot of them, almost all of them. I thought it might be interesting for me to come and talk to you about municipal court operations, but I thought it'd even be more engaging to bring the people who do the job every day. Let you see the leaders who lead us there and let them talk about their operations. And so with your indulgence, that's why we talked about time and how much time you wanted us to talk about what we do at the court. I want to give you a full scope of the operations. I've been in the position that I've been in now since 2010. And I want to say this is the first time the court has been asked to come to give an overview. Now, we've talked about it in different settings, but the entire court, I think this is good for us to be able to come and share with you what we do. And so today, we are going to invite each of our division leaders up. We want to explain our operations in as much detail as you can tolerate, so we'd ask for your patience as they come. I can tell you right now that some of our leaders are a little nervous. And so if you will indulge them by allowing them to get through their presentation before you ask any questions, that won't throw them off stride. They're going to bring their team members up and introduce them as well. Okay. But we're the largest court, as you know, by operation in the state that serves a municipality. We are one of the larger courts anyway. We rival the size of some district courts in the state of Alabama. But our programmatic approach to dealing with situations make us on par with a lot of circuit courts around the state, how we approach issues, how we deal with circumstances. We follow the principles of what's called procedural fairness. All of our judges have been trained in it, and we understand that in order for people to cooperate and make it through the circumstances that they find themselves in when they come to us, that there are certain measures that have to be in place. The first is we have to treat everybody with respect when they come. We also have to ensure that they have a voice in the matters that they are involved in. We have to ensure that they are in all situations receiving the information that pertains to them, the paperwork and the conversations that they are involved, that are about them, that they know about it. And then lastly, we have to make sure that they see the judges on the bench as fair and unbiased decision makers. Those are the principles of procedural fairness, and we believe that helps us to resolve matters in an amicable or appropriate way. We're one court, but we're three locations. You know about the location right down the street, the David Vann Municipal Court building, but behind the David Vann building is the Comer building. Some of us are old enough to remember when it was the School of Fine Arts, but we've had it for a while, and it's our auxiliary services building. A number of operations run out of that building. We also have another location, and that's at the city jail. We have a staff there that operates a courtroom, and judges operate there every day. We have primary partners. We have primary partners who work with us. These partners are essential to the operations at the court. Some of them are so essential that we provided space for them in the buildings that we manage. One primary partner is the Office of the City Attorney. There's a staff of attorneys that work at the court. They prosecute the misdemeanors and code violations that come through and traffic tickets that come through the court. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly how many OCA. Joe Bastier is the head lead attorney for the prosecutors, and his staff is there, and the staff that supports them is there. We also have an indigent defense team. Many of you may not know that a couple of years ago, the mayor created an Indigent Defense Council. It mirrors the Indigent Defense Council that's downtown at the county. We operate in all respects like that. The only problem is the law says that the indigent defense law that created them does not pertain to municipal courts. And so what we did was turn around and simply operate just like they operate. There's a council that puts out solicitations for indigent defense counsel, interviews lawyers and hires them, and then those lawyers contract directly with the city to perform defense counsel work at the court. At present, we have 4 full-time and 4 part-time attorneys who operate as indigent defense counsel. We believe as a city in investing in people getting fair trials, and so because of that, people can't afford lawyers, and those who can't afford lawyers, we make sure that they have competent ones who can support them. We also have, as a partner, Birmingham Police Department, and we have 2 police officers who are stationed at the court each day. We depend on them for matters that our internal security cannot handle. Our internal security does not have arrest authority, and so anytime someone has to be arrested, we have to have Birmingham Police Department there in order to do it. From the jail to the courthouse, the inmates belong to Birmingham Police Department. When they get inside the courthouse, then our bailiffs can take care of them and make sure that they are taken care of. So where does our work originate? We get the source of our work at the court comes from a lot of places. You've got all of this in your packet. We made sure you have the full presentation in your packet, everything I'm telling you. We get cases from BPD, of course, from UAB, from Lawson State University. We get cases, all those police forces send work to us. Birmingham Airport, code enforcement, parking enforcement. Citizens bring us cases every single day. They meet with our magistrates every day, and cases originate there. And last but not least, we get transfers in from other jurisdictions to support them. So nothing originates really at the court. Somebody else is always bringing us work, and we have to deal with it when they bring it to us. Each day, we have a jail court. That jail court is managed now by the special judges that are appointed by this council. They rotate the duties at the jail court. And those hearings are for bond purposes. We determine whether they stay, and if they leave, what kind of restrictions we're going to put on them, or what kind of surety we need to ensure, to require them to post so they come back. 5-6 years ago, we had a jail population that was about 250, maybe 300 people. It was high. We have diligently worked to make sure that we have resolved how we put people in jail, why we put people in jail, and the numbers have steadily come down until today. We average less than, if you look at the graphs we've given you, today we number less than 60, most of the time it's around 40 people in jail. All of that is because of the diligent work by the staff at the jail and the judges. Doesn't mean we let people go who are harmful. It simply means we believe we're better able to discern when we need to put restrictions on people and when we can release them. Our team is composed of 11 appointees. We have 9 judges who are here with me today. Each one of them are appointed by you. We have 2 court administrators. They also are appointees. They are appointed by the mayor. And then we have 5 acting judges. The law allows the mayor of the city to appoint judges for emergency situations. And there are times when our judges are all conflicted because we may know somebody in Birmingham and we need someone who can come in and hear those cases. Unfortunately, those are usually emergencies, and so we need to already have someone who's been appointed. They don't serve full-time, they serve as needed, and so they're paid on an hourly basis when they do come in, and we have 4 lawyers who already sit in that posture. If we need them, we can call them so that we don't slow down the wheels of justice. We also have 92 civil service appointees at the court. Those 92 civil service appointees are in 34 job classifications through the Personnel Board. We have 9 divisions at the court that help us operate. By law, the presiding judge is responsible for administering and managing the court, which is a physical impossibility for one person to do, which is why we are broken down into nine divisions, and we are led by this staff. We have an organizational chart that's in your packet, and it lays out the different divisions that the court is broken down into. The 2 court administrators that we have, one, Mr. Mankente Holloway, who's unfortunately not with us today. He just had a tragedy in his family and couldn't be with us this afternoon. But Mr. Holloway is in charge of our operational units within the court. And then we have Ms. Melanie Colston. She is also a court administrator, and she's in charge of what we call our administrative units. They'll come forward, well, I'll come forward for Mr. Holloway and talk about the responsibilities that fall under their authority. But I will tell you that Ms. Colston serves a double duty in that she is also officially the clerk of court for municipal court. She serves in that capacity. When you see documents signed by the clerk of court, she is designated as the clerk of court by the administrative officers of court. They recognize her as that. We had her appointed to that position. The day-to-day operations require these employees in order for us to deal with the tens of thousands of people that we see that come through the court. On average, we have about 17,000 people who come through the doors of municipal court on a monthly basis for one purpose or another. I want to start out the rest of this presentation by inviting Ms. Audrey Jones and the administrative staff, the administrative managers, management staff who handle all of our day-to-day operations. Audrey Jones is our principal administrative analyst, and she and her staff will come and explain to you what they do.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is LaKenzie Mayberry. I proudly serve as the Training and Development Manager in the Courts Administrative Division. The administrative team is responsible for providing the strategic, operational, and workforce leadership to the court. Both collectively and individually, we plan, coordinate, and direct activities that protect and advance the court's ability to administer justice. The administration team has 6 core functions that you're going to learn a little bit more about in just a second. But, and while our functions are very distinct, we operate much like the organs in a body. We're very much interconnected and dependent on each other for our success and optimal performance. As a training and development manager, my daily focus is looking for ways to drive court effectiveness, solve problems, increase performance, and increase employee satisfaction. I'm always looking for ways to get our team members involved, whether that's planning our annual staff development day and picnic, or our end of the year holiday celebration, or simply shouting out colleagues for a job well done in our electronic newsletter off the record. The goal is to create an environment where team members feel seen, heard, and supported. But of course, my ultimate goal is to make sure that our team members have the knowledge, skills, ability, and support to fulfill the court's mission. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the activities that we did in 2023 that helped us get there. In 2023, Birmingham Municipal Court supervisors participated in a year-long journey, completing 4 workshops as we explored the 5 dysfunctions of a team. In addition to the learning, this workshop allowed us to get away, connect, and have open and honest conversations about improvements that our leadership team can make to improve, our service to the court. To help move the court to a more efficient and effective operations, I led the supervisors through a 6-part interactive workshop designed to help them develop and implement standard operating procedures for their divisions and teams. The team as a whole participated in a mental health first aid certification training. This training was designed to help our team identify, understand, and respond to signs of mental health and substance use challenges. And of course, while we're not called to diagnose or treat individuals in crisis, it's very important that we're able to serve them and interact with them in a way that protects their rights and their dignity. And finally, ahead of the 2023 Municipal Court Summit, we partnered with the Center for Justice Innovations on a procedural justice training. So they came in and helped us explore ways that we can incorporate the principles of procedural justice into how we serve and interact with everyone that comes into our building. And speaking of the Municipal Court Summit, which is our annual free two-day learning experience, where team members not only get a chance to come and get like high-quality training in their continuing education credits, we also invite criminal justice professionals from all over the state of Alabama to come learn with us. The goal, of course, is to create better, more efficient, more effective courts and court leadership. Last year, we had a total of 241 registered participants, including our team members, and over the last 8 years, hosting the summit has saved the city of Birmingham over $300,000 in professional development costs. Now I'm going to turn it over to the rest of the team and let them tell you a little bit about what they do.
My name is Audrey Jones. I serve as the Principal Administrative Analyst. I have Delitha Cummings. She serves as the Administrative Supervisor, and Frantasia Johnson, she serves as Administrative Clerk. Together, we have 45 years of service, and we work side by side to handle the routine behind-the-scene issues that help the court run smoothly in employee services, which is a subdivision of administration. Let me give you some of the highlights of our last year. One of the important metrics is that we processed over 120 CLEs and/or CEUs for last year's Municipal Court Summit. Documentations for mandatory educational credits was submitted to Alabama State Bar, Alabama Office of Courts, the Alabama Judicial College, the Alabama Court Referral Office Program, and the Alabama Social Workers Board. Another metric is all as the payroll coordinators, which is one of our most challenging and rewarding roles. We processed 17 new hires and 13 promotions this year. I'm happy to say that we like to promote from within, and 8 of those came from within. So I'm going to give a shout out to Latasha, Kayla, Miko, Adrienne, Shanika, Sarah, Demarius, and Deja. This process is not as easy as you might think. There's a lot of paperwork and a lot of hours devoted to this process. Over 150 interviews were scheduled either virtually or in person. First, a structured interview was created, which must be approved by HR. Then the position is requested. At this point, the city's HR department works with us and navigates this through the personnel board. And we finally get a list. Then the foreign parts begins. We interview. And after we've made sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and every page is initialed, the complete package is submitted to HR. And then HR navigates that final process for us. And after orientation, we get our new employee. And recently, we just welcomed 8 new employees. And this metrics brings me to another important accomplishment. The department is 97% fully staffed. This hasn't happened in a long time. We only have 3 vacant positions, so we've been working hard, going through the process. And another interesting note is we're a small subdivision of the overall municipal court administrative division, but we play a huge role. We're the beginning and the end and a whole lot in the middle. Our goal is to serve the employees and make their daily lives just a little bit better. We also assist the other subdivisions on the administrative umbrella. This reminds me of that holiday song by, you'll see Shirley Caesar, and she'll be saying, I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lambs, rams, hogs. Let me tell you what we got. We got recs, we got checks, we got orders, we got bills, we got payrolls, we got budget, merit, pension loans, evals, complaints, Zooms, WebEx, phones, contracts, mail, letters, oaths, travel, new hires, you name it. That's what we do, you name it. Now, sometimes we fall short, but it's not from lack of trying. We ask that our teammates celebrate with us when we have those triumphant days, and we ask them to allow us grace on our bad days. Thank you for listening. Our doors are always open to you in front of us and for you behind us. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anders Victor Holmberg. I have the pleasure of serving as the supervisor of the Information Technology Department at the court. Some of you may not know, the municipal court is one of the few departments that has its own technology department. I have the honor of serving as their supervisor. I have two staff members with me here. Mr. Jerry Smith has a little over 8 years of service with the city, and Ms. Tamara Moore has 2 months with the city. Our group is tasked with maintaining and installing all the hardware and software at the court. We also serve in that same capacity with other departments, the law department. Some of our software runs on their computers, police department, and 911 as well. We try to really take a proactive approach to solving problems. We want to see the problem before it happens, before it's even reported. That's not always possible, but that's what we strive to do. It is our role to make sure that all of our staff members behind us have the support and tools that they need to effectively serve the citizens of Birmingham, any other defendants or participants that come into the court. That's our main goal. Together, us three have over 80 years of technology experience, which I had no idea until I started counting it. I mean, we're really old. 2 of us are. We support the 92 team members we have. We have about 120 workstations. We support 100 scanners, 35 printers, 25 laptops, as well as network equipment. We support all that within the court and the jail. We resolve 93 support issues a month at the court. We import between 100 and 500 citations, traffic, and parking per day get imported into our case management software. Just one interesting note about us three, we all started in the private sector, and now we get the honor of serving in the civil service, and I can't be more thrilled. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Chisholm, and I have the pleasure of serving as the lead bailiff of security at Birmingham Municipal Court. I have 2 of my team members here with me. Between the 3 of us, my other 2 team members had to make sure the courthouse was squared away. One was out sick. Got at least almost 20 years experience between the 3 of us, just that alone. Part of the responsibilities of security is the safety and security of the staff, citizens, and everybody that entered the David Van Justice Center, the Eva Comer building, and the David Barnes Court, which is on the south side. Court officer, which is referred to as a bailiff, is pretty much in charge of, helps to maintain the order and proper decorum of the courtroom, in the courthouse and the courtrooms as well. They are charged with ensuring that the judges, judicial staff, court employees, and public visiting the courthouse and facilities are safe and secure at all times. Bailiffs are assigned to the courtrooms, and they're assigned for the purpose of maintaining the physical security and the safety in the courtrooms. Bailiff's number 1 priority is the safety of the judge and the staff in the courtroom. In the courtroom, the bailiff watches over all proceedings and ensure that all individuals in courtrooms are safe. They do this by performing tasks as handing papers to the judges, ejecting people from the courtroom when the judge orders them to do so, and they make sure the courtrooms are secure after the court is adjourned and during recess periods. When the judge is ready to enter the courtroom, the bailiff will give the appropriate announcement to open court and always maintain situational awareness of our movements within the courtroom area. and would never leave the judge in the courtroom by themselves. Once in session, the bailiff just make sure everything in the courtroom is quiet and nobody's talking, nobody's standing up, and maintain a buffer zone between the judge and the public. Court officers are also responsible for all security aspects of the courthouse, including to ensure that no weapons are brought into the courthouse and the public complies with the building safety rules. Other jobs, duties include securing the entry points at the David Van Building, David Van Justice Center, Eva Coma Building, and David Barnes Court. They are monitored with a walk-through scanner, an X-ray scanner, and is complemented with a handheld wand. Also, they do roaming throughout the courthouse and parking lots to make sure they are watching out for suspicious activity. And the court security also monitors and maintains a monthly count of pedestrian traffic for the David Van, the Eva Comer buildings. David Van building averages about 9,000 people per month. And as of April 1st of this year, we've seen right at about 75,000 or more people since the beginning of the fiscal year, not the calendar year, but the fiscal year. Eva Comer average about 2,900 people. With the magistrates, they averaging about 189 citizens, averaging about 255 officers that the magistrates see. We keep count of that and make sure we keep that kind of accurate. And as of April 1st of this year, over 23,000 have been seen in the Eva Coma building. And the total between both buildings as of April 1st is about 121,000 or more people that's come into both buildings. Also, I also have the pleasure of serving as the, I guess you would say, the assistant supervisor with building services. I have 2 team members here from building services. And Mr. Torrey Thomas has been with us a little over 9 years or more. And we have Ms. Shara Pruitt, who just recently started with us. And she's a great addition to Birmingham Municipal Court and the building services staff. Only thing they do is make sure the cleanliness, continued stocking of all paper products, common areas are clean. Okay, all right. But overall, the building services, they do provide a great service with delivering different packages and making sure everything is good to go and we're good and stocked and serve the citizens of Birmingham.
Point of order, Mr. President, are we going to hear from each employee of municipal court? Because I think that my understanding from the agenda that was sent out is that we were going to hear for some very essential functions, including the judges themselves, and be able to specifically ask them questions. So what is about to happen over the next 1 to 5 hours?
Judge Sparks,
Had a conversation with the chair and specifically asked him what he required of us to come, and he told me to come and explain the operations. Now, you just heard a little bit more detail than I anticipated from that, but you're going to hear from the division leaders at the court, the other ones that are going to come, and the judges are going to come up and explain to you what they do. I'm doing exactly what I was told to do by the city council president. And I'm not trying to belabor the point, but our operations are fairly large.
So-
My point of order was to the president, so, Mr. President.
yeah, so Judge Sparks, I would ask, we do want to hear an overview of municipal court operations. We also specifically wanted to have some time to drill down specifically on code enforcement issues. So, I'll have to rely on you to sort of, help move us along.
Yes, sir, I will.
But
I will.
that's
The
our-
code enforcement piece, we turned into the administration and we put our information in. I believe they sent it to you in writing. We will talk to you about the aspect of code enforcement that the court is responsible for. But the code enforcement piece originates with code enforcement officers, and it is Office of the City Attorney has a piece in that as well. We'll be happy to talk about the piece that we do. In fact, Judge Gilliam was going to come up and talk about environmental court, which is what he is responsible for. But in giving you the operations of the court, I thought the people who do it could be much more effective at it than me, which would only be a snippet of what they do. Now, if you'll bear with me, I believe after hearing Counselor Williams, we understand that you want a more generalized overview, but if you will allow our team members to come and to give you that information, I'd appreciate it, because I didn't prepare to come up and talk about every one. I don't know if that
I think
fits
that
your
can be
bill.
allowed, but I think ordering paper products and planning.
Well, that was,
Christmas-
I
and
agree with
planning
you,
Christmas-
Counsel.
Excuse me, and planning Christmas parties, and
I agree with you 100%.
Mr. President, I don't want to give offense to the workers, the employees that work at municipal court. We do want to see who are the faces of the court, so I really get to appreciate it. It makes me very comfortable to see all these beautiful faces here and to know that they are the reason why our municipal court works day by day. So I do appreciate that part, but we only have so much time in the day. And we're more concerned about code enforcement from municipal court. And, you know, we understand, you know, how it works, that it goes to code enforcement officers, city attorney. But what we're hearing from our complaints, literally just heard this last week. They said municipal court is where it stops. They said there's some breakdown. I'm sure they can attest to this too. There's some breakdown in municipal court that's allowing people to go back into the streets and, you know, continue to make their offenses. There isn't enough enforcement. That's because we've tracked this over the last 2 years. Even when Wardeen was president, now Quinn's president, we have the same problem over and over again. And, you know, we're the ones that catch the heat for this. And so we're trying to get an update to say, what's the process you guys are going through? How many times are you guys giving people passes? What can we do to help? That's what we need to know, because code enforcement is one of our top priorities for the budget and for the council.
So that was a preface to some questions. So I want to give you an opportunity to, you know, continue, you know, telling us about the overall, giving us a big picture, but we want to definitely get to Counselor Smithman's issues that she's raised. So, but just, you know, when we spoke, I told you to take as, you know, much time within the 2 to 5 p.m. window as you felt like you needed, you know, up to about an hour and a half.
Yes.
So, you know, let's just keep it moving.
Yes, sir. I want to invite Melanie Cole, and we're going to get to, at what point would you like for me to give you our piece of the code enforcement? Because it's our piece of it, and it fits in with the other parts of it. And Counselor, I know you said that people are saying it stops at municipal court, but in reality, it starts elsewhere. And if it doesn't get to us, and we've been saying this for a while, the code enforcement piece, we're the court piece. We're not the enforcement piece. There's a whole nother section that comes that deals with that. And so I thought that's what the administration had provided to the council before we got here. We're happy to talk about the court part of it, because that's what we do. And I like the numbers that have been coming out of it. We've been, since we've had this conversation, able to change the narrative on the numbers. But I don't know who you're talking to or who's saying it's stopping with us, because I would love to have a conversation with them and make sure they understand how the process works.
And Your Honor, respectfully, I literally just said, we know where it starts. And we want to know the code enforcement, like the court part of code enforcement. It's not just people who are making it up. Like, we're hearing from constituents, city work, like we're hearing it from other people who are saying they're giving people who really are giving their neighbors a lot of grief, being a nuisance, 6 more months. You know, they say, okay, we're continuing for 6 more months. We're just trying to see where everything is. We're not with you all every Wednesday you do the docket. We're not with you every Wednesday doing this. And this is our one chance to really talk to you publicly about code enforcement. And honestly, I would like to hear it now. What time is it? I did have to work in my other capacity. That's why I was late, but it's 3:13. So I want to hear it now. But I'm only one counselor.
Is that your discretion, Judge?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, counselors. I'm Judge Jeff Gillum, and been with the city 27 years, the last 7 as judge. And part of my responsibilities are environmental court. I'll be happy to take any questions that you have, explain what we do. The bottom line is we handle the cases that are brought before us. That's all we can do. We can't invent the cases. We can't prosecute the cases. We can only handle those cases that are brought before us. Those cases have to be properly served, which is what we discussed, I believe, the last time we came before this committee and discussed the service process. They are also misdemeanors, which means that anyone who comes before my court has the possibility of going to jail, and if they have the possibility of going to jail, then we provide them with an attorney if they can't afford one. So we work with our indigent defense counselors as well, so that they have the opportunity to be represented. As far as how we deal with cases, I'll just take a basic case and how it comes before the court. If a case comes before the court, if it's been properly served, if the defendant is there, then I'll hear from the investigative team. I'll hear from code enforcement. Code enforcement will give me an idea of what the problem is. They'll tell me how long it's been going on, and they'll present their part of the case. At that point, they'll either tell me that work has begun, they have started to fix the problem, they're working on fixing the problem. It depends on where they are in there. I have, to the best of my knowledge, never continued a case for 6 months. At the most, I think I've given somebody, if it's a major project on a major piece of property, we give them 90 days at the most before we'll come back and review it. But the bottom line is, if I continue a case, it's because work is being done, because ultimately that's what we want, is for them to come into compliance with the code. And if they're not doing that, then I'll take what's known as a conditional plea from them. If I see that progress is slow, we give them a conditional plea where they know that they'll come back, and if work hasn't progressed, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then at that point they will have pled guilty and I'll impose a sentence. The majority of the people that I have come before me are elderly people who find themselves in bad situations. Those are the majority of cases that we see on a regular basis. So we are doing the best of our abilities, not just to add another $500 fine, which they wouldn't be able to pay and which frankly doesn't fix the problem, but we're finding and trying to help to find solutions for people who come in and they're throwing their hands up and they're saying, we don't know what to do. And we're looking for resources, we're looking for some sort of solution. And the court does that to the best of our abilities. So those are the types of situations we're dealing with and what we see on a regular basis.
What do you do in situations where there's a failure to appear?
We issue an FTA. And in fact, there's one friend of mine that's a prominent attorney with Birmingham. He's got an FTA on him right now. So we issue FTAs for those people that we know have been served, that are before us, that we know the cases are going forward, then we'll issue an FTA for anyone who doesn't show up.
So what is the follow-up to issuing an FTA?
Then it goes to the police department. I mean, we don't have any sort of ability inside the court to follow up with that. We certainly don't have a police force or any way, but if those people are caught, if they're stopped for a traffic offense or something along those lines, then of course they're taken to jail and processed from there.
Do those FTAs also apply outside of local jurisdiction?
Well, we have a warrant that has been issued, a bench warrant that has been issued. So if another jurisdiction picks them up and they're taken into custody, and they have the ability to see that we have an outstanding warrant, then they'll hold them.
That includes out-of-state jurisdictions?
Depending on, yeah, I mean, it's a valid warrant from the city. So if those people will extradite, if they'll send them, then, and decide if the city of Birmingham will actually go and pick them up, then absolutely, but that usually falls within the police department, and that kind of falls outside of what we do at that point.
How often have we issued a FTA on, say, for example, a property owner that lives out of state, and that person has ultimately been extradited to the city of Birmingham? How often has that occurred?
There haven't been many that I know of. Haven't been, in fact, I can't name one off the top of my head where we've had somebody out of state that has been brought back as a property owner.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, so, one of the things that we as council members often encounter, we have each of us has a number of problem properties in our jurisdictions. Sure. And oftentimes, those problem properties lead back to an owner who doesn't live in this jurisdiction, and oftentimes out of state. So, I understand that serving them, may be a challenge, but assuming that we could serve them, we're trying to close the loop on addressing some of these properties, so let me pause there and get some other questions from Council Williams.
So, Judge, thank you for being here. Now, you said that it's your understanding that when an FTA is issued, that another law enforcement agency would pick them up. But it is my understanding that actually 0 of these FTAs are entered into NCIC. Is that correct?
As far as I know, our warrants are issued into NCIC. They're certainly put into the state system.
My understanding is that is actually inaccurate. So how can we get that confirmed?
This is a conversation that I don't know that we want to have publicly right now, because we're going to end up saying some things that should not be said publicly.
That's fine, and I don't mind even going into executive session at some point, but I'll hold off on that question so we don't have to go into executive session right now. But that is a problem. And so that is a big problem. Now, looking at your numbers, Judge, for environmental cases, in the last, from January of 2023 to January of 2024, there were 731 cases, is the report that I got. That was about 650 defendants, so it's mostly unique defendants. Some of them had multiple cases. Of that, 114 of those cases were dismissed.
Yes.
445 were continued. Only 180 environmental defendants showed up. But then you have that FTA number not making sense of if only 180 showed up, why was there only a pending FTA for 77?
Well, if you'll look at the numbers going before August of that year, remember August of last year is when we met and discussed this and we worked out a new situation. Prior to that, we had cases that were on our dockets that had not been served. In fact, the majority we discovered had not been served. Those cases, we can't deal with them if they haven't been properly served. They're not properly before the court. If you notice, the numbers go down significantly from August on. And because those are cases then that we know those people have been served and they're then before us properly. So we quit putting those cases on the docket. So that is the difference in the numbers that you see prior to August and after August. As far as cases that are dismissed, the reason I dismiss cases is because I'm told that the property's been brought into compliance.
Okay, so when you say that we no longer hear those cases, so
Not we no longer hear.
They're just not properly before us yet. Until there's been service of the defendant, they're not properly before the court yet. we can't make rulings on them, on somebody who's been properly, who has not been served.
Understood. Okay,
Yeah.
so what happened to those cases?
On cases where there is improper service, then the cases cannot go forward.
So all of these years that I have sat in this seat on this council, I have gotten numerous complaints over a few properties. And I'm talking hundreds of complaints over a few properties. So on those cases, for the first, I guess, 6 years I was on the council, that there must not been properly before the court. What's happened to those cases? Are they, I know you're, but isn't that what you do, sir?
So you were making direct eye contact with me, so,
Well, that's just
and
'cause
I
I
am
like
the
looking
city
at you.
attorney, so I am
Yeah.
familiar. But I will turn this over to the chief prosecutor, Joe Baskier.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
That is what I do. I became chief prosecutor in August of last year. So I can talk specifically about what we've done since August of 2023.
Okay. Can you craft that around the backlog of cases for the first 6 years I've served on this council?
Sure. So I think the way to conceive of environmental court, it's kind of like the show Law and Order, right? The concept of Law and Order is it's investigated by detectives and then prosecuted by lawyers, right? An environmental court is kind of a three-pronged team of lawyers, the court, and code and zoning inspectors, right? And everyone needs to be kind of working together to get the job done. So everything begins with the inspectors, and that may begin with citizen complaints, may begin some other way. They investigate, they go through their process. If the thing's not resolved, they come to us, and we begin our screening process to make sure that the case is ripe for court, right? Once it is, it's brought to court and it's litigated. That's what we've been doing since August, when I think that the city attorney realized that we needed to make some changes to make the court process work better and more efficient. And to answer the concerns from the citizens, which we take extremely seriously.
So, okay, so what was the drastic drop-off in cases that were being reported to the court? Because last January you had 168 code enforcement cases, and this January you had 28. So what's going on where there's a drastic drop-off of code enforcement?
So I can tell you since August of 2023, 56 new cases have been initiated over the current fiscal year. 52 have been successfully served for an overall service rate of 93%. If you all recall, the council approved for the Office of City Attorney to get 2 court services officers, which we have utilized. 15 of those cases have been favorably resolved, with the subject's property defective condition being abated. 28 older cases initiated before August of 2023 have also been favorably resolved. Thus, 43 cases in environmental court have been successfully resolved during the current fiscal year. 33 cases remain pending with future court dates for continued compliance, and we have where 22 defendants have failed to appear in court.
Okay, so this fiscal year, there's only been 54 or 50-something cases. I believe you said 54, but what's 50-something cases? And last January, there was 168 cases alone. So according to the email that we got, so I'm just looking at the data. So why is there such a drastic drop-off in cases being brought to the court? Is my question. If does that, okay.
That would go to the court.
Okay, so y'all don't, okay.
Council Woods.
Not going to give the time back to Councilor Williams, but just want to ask a clarifying question to maybe bridge the gap there. Is there a lot of cases waiting to be properly served? Is that what we're dealing with? And did y'all just change the way you were calculating that? Looks like FY '24 is what it looks like.
It's my recommendation that we go into executive session under 3625A7, A3 to discuss pending or potential litigation. Thank you.
Okay. Motion for executive
moved.
session. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
No, we're gonna ask. Can they still present to somebody? the information, a letter from her of her intent to retire. She has done a wonderful job at the court for us, and she said she didn't want to say anything, which is why I'm talking. She said she just wanted to be here with us, but this year is the year she said she's going to retire.
Well, thank you for your service to the city for so long. I know traffic court probably is an easy.
Use the mic, go ahead.
See, you got tricked.
Judge
You got
said
tricked.
something about 14,000 cases per year or last year. I don't know about that. All I know is I worked hard. But I liked it. I mean, I really like this job. I really do. But it's time to move on. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I'm also happy to introduce to you Judge Charles Price II. Judge Price, maybe known by many of you. He has been responsible for hearing many of our misdemeanor cases, and he specifically has been hearing, as of late, our bilingual docket. We've had a bilingual docket for about 6 or 7 years now. It is a docket wherein we bring in interpreters to interpret for the court and for non-English speaking citizens when they come. I will tell you this, one complication we've had as of late with our bilingual docket, this may sound strange, is we have a difficult time finding translators who can come in. We have looked high and low, and the complication with that is we've had contracts. We've also had people who were on the state-appointed list, and for some reason we can't keep them. We've also worked with HICA in trying to find them for years now. It's just a difficult thing, and I can imagine if we're having difficulty finding that, it's probably a citywide issue to find translators. We did enter into a partnership with Holy Family Cristo Rey and created a unique program. They have some students there who are non-English speaking, and so we brought some of them. In fact, some of them were here at the top of the meeting. We brought them in, and they help us in some spaces to interpret when they're there. But it opens the door for us to, we think, create what's potentially a unique partnership with them, and that's perhaps creating non-English speaking court personnel who can be trained at the high school level, potentially creating jobs when they graduate. And so that's something we're looking into in that partnership with HICA. I'd also like to introduce you to Judge Larisha Cade Spearman, and she is well able to speak for herself.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Council President O'Quinn, Madam Pro Tem Alexander, members of the council, good afternoon, everyone else that is in the chambers. I am Larisha Cade Spearman, and I proudly serve as a full-time municipal court judge at the city of Birmingham. I preside over a very volatile yet complex docket. I preside over the domestic violence docket. Daily in my courtroom, my team consists of a bailiff, 2 clerks, prosecutor, indigent defense counsel, a probation officer, and a YWCA victims advocate. Research shows that there has been a spike in domestic violence all across the country. And the city of Birmingham is not excluded from these numbers. In fact, as you all are aware, there has been 3 recent domestic violence homicides within the last week. According to Danny Carr's Jefferson County District Attorney's Office, 74% of all known homicide offenders, that means people who have actually killed someone, 74% had a domestic violence charge, a previous domestic violence charge, or some type of domestic violence on their record or in their history. So I think it's safe to say that domestic violence can lead to homicides. And so although we deal with misdemeanor cases, misdemeanor domestic violence cases, we're dealing with felonious individuals every day. A lot of the defendants who appear before our court on domestic violence charges are out on bond somewhere else, most of the times on a felony charge. According to our stats at Birmingham Municipal Court, fiscal year 21-22, there were 3,553 domestic violence cases that came across municipal court. 22 to 23, 3,423 domestic violence cases. And to date, for this fiscal year, there has been 2,112 domestic violence cases that has been filed in Birmingham Municipal Court. So you see, domestic violence is not a personal problem. Domestic violence is not a family problem. Domestic violence is a community problem. It is a city of Birmingham problem. And so in my court, we work hard to ensure that the victims are safe, that constitutional rights are protected, and the community is safe, all while holding the offenders accountable for their actions. And in our court, we do swift justice. Conditions of release are placed into effect. A condition of release is simply a restraining order or some type of protection order or no contact order. And they're given out so that no one will have any contact with the alleged victims while their cases are pending. We also collaborate with the YWCA for victim services. In fact, there's a YWCA advocate in my courtroom every single day. Every single docket, we have a victim's advocate there. And they assist the victims with things such as filing PFAs, because some people have to file divorces, they have legal services, or simply an escape plan. Because we know that the most vulnerable and the most dangerous time in a victim's life is when they're trying to leave, when they're trying to leave their offender. And so we have people in our courtroom that assist the victims in those types of situations. Domestic violence is a serious issue. Some are lucky to escape, others are not as fortunate. So this is just a brief overview of some of the things that we handle in domestic violence court. And again, it is my pleasure to serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel Clark.
Yes, Judge, I just wanted to ask you about, I know you mentioned some of the partners who work with the victims. Are there any partners who work with the perpetrators?
Yes, we have social workers. We have our staff is, our court is staffed with social workers. They do Project Safe classes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I remember that. That's long, we've had that for a long time.
Yes, ma'am. We still do Project Safe classes.
Okay.
And sometimes if they are not able to attend the classes, then we make accommodations for them to go to an outside party, but they are responsible for making that payment to the outside party, and then they'll collaborate with the court to make sure that the classes are taken.
And is that usually some sort of anger management
It is,
counseling?
yes, ma'am. Project Safe does include anger management. I think it's about 26 weeks of classes.
Thank you.
And so, yes, ma'am, and that does encompass anger management and just conflict resolution to try to rehabilitate the actual offender. And if he or she cannot be rehabilitated, then there are other measures that we take as well.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Is that it? Very
I think
good.
that's it.
Thank
Yeah.
you all.
Thank you.
I will add on the Project Safe, Birmingham Municipal Court hosts Project Safe for not only Birmingham, but other counties send their individuals to our program. It's been established for so long. Shelby County sends their offenders to Birmingham Municipal Courts, Project Safe, because of the staff has been trained so well. Judge Price has something he would like to say to the council.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
I just want to tell y'all, thank y'all for my job. That's it.
We have, you've already heard from Judge Gilliam, but in addition to hearing the environmental court docket, he also is responsible for hearing what we call our Hope Court docket. Hope Court is our mental health docket, and he's going to come and talk to you about that docket.
Our mental health docket, Hope Court, is a passion of mine. We have about 40 to 50 individuals in our program who have an established and diagnosed mental health condition. And basically, we ask four things of them. We want them to keep all their appointments, both their court appointments and with their mental health professionals. We ask that they take the medications that they've been prescribed by their doctors. And we ask them, number three, don't take anything that you're not prescribed, because self-medication with the mentally ill is a huge, huge issue. That's why every time they come to court from the beginning of the program, we drug test every time they come into court to monitor this kind of self-medication. And the last thing is we say don't pick up any new cases. We take a conditional plea that we talked about at the beginning of this process, and then we move them through phases of the process to where they're coming, first of all, every 2 weeks so we can kind of monitor things. The second issue is we move them to a monthly visit. Usually sometimes that's done online, done through Zoom or WebEx in some way. And then ultimately, if they have about 6 months to a year where we're seeing stability, because we can't fix the problem, we can't cure the mental illness, but we're trying to cure the behavior that brought them before the court, whether it's domestic violence or whether it's some assault or some other kind of behavior. We're trying to stabilize that behavior. And our results have been pretty good. We probably have, I would say, at least a 50% success rate where we have had people who have completed the program and they're not reoffending because we've helped them. They've brought in a good support system. We've been both a support system to them and accountability to them. And it has made a tremendous difference, I think, in the way we're approaching those who have mental health issues. And especially the way we're seeing so many, the studies are now showing that there's a 33% increase for heavy marijuana smokers and the incidence of bipolar conditions and also, what am I trying to say? Paranoid schizophrenia. So we're seeing this coalition, we're seeing this this coming together of these two conditions where drug use has caused mental illness, and mental illness is also either being treated by them or it's being exacerbated by the use of drugs. So we're able to offer drug programs, some of the same drug treatment programs that we use with Alethea House, with our DWI courts and our drug courts, and we're seeing success. We just need more resources. There just aren't nearly enough resources, as you well know, to treat mental illness in the community. But we're using what we have. So that's Hope Court, Mental Health Court.
Right. Thank you.
In addition to the full-time judges we also have the council has also appointed part-time judges. 4 part-time judges have been appointed. I will remind the council that one of the caveats of the part-time judges' service is that they still have the ability to practice law. And so because of that, that affects how we schedule them to come and serve so that they can still do both conceivably. And so we have 4 judges who rotate the duties at our South Court, or our David Barnes location. South Court is what we used to call it. And they handle the jail docket. They do a fabulous job. So I would like to remind you and introduce you of the judges who sit there. It's Judge Jamiria Moore, Judge Michael Clark, Judge Lee Loader, and Judge Anita Westbury. And Judge Westbury is going to have some comments about what they do.
Good afternoon, Council President O'Quinn, Council Pro Tem President Alexander, and all the council members and everyone who's present. I'd like to thank you all for appointing me to serve as a part-time judge. I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed my service. I'm speaking on behalf of the part-time judges. As Judge Sparks stated, we manage the jail docket. Our courtroom is located at the Birmingham City Jail. It is called the David Barnes Courthouse, but it is also alternatively called the South Court. And we work 6 days a week. We work Mondays through Saturdays. All the defendants that are arrested, and I believe there was a slide that said that there were about 4,191 arrested last year. But we see all of those defendants when they're arrested within the Birmingham police jurisdiction. And Judge Sparks has already shown a slide as to where these individuals' cases may come from. We see all of the misdemeanor charges, the violations, and the alias writs that come from the failure to appear in court. We see these people within 48 hours. This is why we work from Monday to Saturday, because they have to be seen within 48 hours. So within 48 hours of their arrest, we have a due process and a bond hearing where we will set their bonds. We see all types of cases before they we are the initial judges who see them because we have to set their bonds. We see all types of cases, the DV cases, the DUI cases, trespass, assault, attempting to elude, resisting arrest, all variety of municipal court cases. When we work with the pretrial division, they were going to speak today as well, but we work with the pretrial division. They are in charge of putting together a packet for us, a report. We use those reports to evaluate the detainee's criminal history. We get personal background information from them, and we determine what their ability is to make bond, to post the bond. Once we review all of that, we set the bond. If the person has not made bond within 7 days, we have a bond review hearing. So we will go back and we will look at what's going on with their cases to determine whether or not it is appropriate to amend their bond. When we set bond in these cases, we also do conditions of release. And the defendants are required to comply with the conditions of the release. If they do not, then, they may have to come back to jail on these. We also set the cases to go downtown to the David Vann building. We give the defendants their court date and the information that they need in order to maintain contact with their attorneys. Since we have a staff in our courtroom, we have a prosecutor, we have a defense attorney, and we have someone from probation. So we are also able to adjudicate some of the cases before the person makes bond. This is done by the prosecutor and the defense attorney coming to a plea agreement, and we adjudicate the cases in that manner. We have seen a reduction in the population of the jail since we have started, because as I stated, we do work 6 days a week. We see everyone within 48 hours, and we have review hearings for defendants within 7 days. So we've seen a reduction in the amount of people that are actually in jail. And when we are not monitoring our jail docket, we are on call. So when a full-time judge is out, we go downtown to cover their docket. So we cover the dockets in all of the courts that you previously heard about. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. Judge Sparks, I have a question just real quickly. Last year in the legislative session, the state legislature increased the penalties for exhibition driving. Have any of those cases reached the municipal court?
We've been talking about those cases recently and about how we make sure we identify those cases. I'm not certain, Counselor, that they've written specifically under that code section yet. There are some questions about it. But we're preparing to deal with them when they come in.
Okay, I just was curious. I mean, we can save that for another time, but, you know, I know that's a relatively new, you know, increased penalties. We're still having, you know, exhibition driving is still as prevalent as it ever was, if not worse. So still very focused on that as a, problem in our community.
We just had a meeting this week concerning that very topic with the Office of City Attorney and Birmingham Police Department. So it's an issue that's top of mind. I think the Office of City Attorney is exploring how it's going to make sure it's able to prosecute those cases effectively based on the law that was written. And that's probably another conversation for them to have with you offline.
Okay.
I will tell you, was that it, Council?
That's it. Yep.
I've been able to serve as a judge of some specialized courts since I've been there. One of the courts that I've been fortunate enough to serve in is what we call drug court. And if you've heard of drug court, it's been around now for almost 30 years. We've had one here in Jefferson County since at least 1996. And I know we've had a juvenile one since that time because I started it at family court. And we at the city of Birmingham have had a drug court since this council started one in 2008 when you applied for a grant. I've told you once before, but I want to reiterate that was a wonderful decision by this council to apply for that. It allowed us to get federal funding to help up to 150 individuals annually with drug problems. We've been able to, in balance in utilizing those funds, we've been able to secure funding from the federal government every year since 2008 until the present. So for 15 years, we've been continuously funded under drug court grants to the tune of $5.2 million. We also are applying for the next iteration of grants. And so if we're granted that, we'll have another 4 years of funding for it. And so we're utilizing every tool we can to help people with this very, very tough problem we have in our community, and that is people overdosing and dying from drug addiction. Our drug court operates like any other drug court, but we also have a DWI court. Mr. Judge Gilliam indicated to you that just last year, the number one factor in driving while intoxicated cases changed from alcohol to other substances. Primarily, that other substance is marijuana that people are getting arrested for DUIs on. So there are some, we're fortunate to have a DWI court that operates in the same manner as our drug court. And we've had that DWI court since 2000 and, I think it's 2017 that we started it. We also have had a gun court, which you can imagine has been affected by the change in laws. But our gun court is still able to be effective because of FTAs and people not coming to court, and so we're still operating. We primarily use a conflict resolution strategy in resolving those cases, and because of how it operates, we use the HE curriculum we've told you about before to help them. And because of how we use that, we have a very low recidivism rate when it comes to dealing with young folk who go through our gun court. And we also started the state's here in Birmingham, we started the state's first Veterans Treatment Court. Our Veterans Treatment Court was started in 2010. We make sure that the veterans who come through our system, primarily through the police department, through the jail, utilize all aspects of the federal government's funding and resources to help them get better. Most of them, you can imagine, have substance use issues. And because of that, they also have issues with respect to governmental authority. And so we utilize the bully pulpit of the court to ensure that not only they do what they're supposed to do for the court, but they utilize all the benefits that the government has given to them when they need inpatient treatment. We need veterans to go to veterans treatment programs, not in the community that other citizens need as well. And so that's been very, very successful. Our Veterans Treatment Court has been very, very successful. And the last one I want to tell you about is a court we call Turning Point Court. Turning Point Court is our version of homeless court. We started it some years ago in conjunction with the program that we had, Project Homeless Connect. And it was an offshot of Project Homeless Connect. Each year, we would be one of the sections at Project Homeless Connect that had more people come to it than we could handle in a day. And because of that, it made sense to us that we would peel out the legal part and start doing something on a regular basis. And that was the genesis of our homeless court. We do it in conjunction with the Birmingham Bar Association pro bono lawyers, and we ensure that those people who are experiencing homelessness have a clear legal pathway to resolve their issues we use it as a carrot and stick approach so that they complete the other requirements that they have in the program. When they get to that place, we help them clear up their legal requirements, and it's worked really, really well. I want to thank you for your time that you've given us to come in here today. And I will say this for our staff, they were excited to come and to see you today. They've been working really, really hard to prove to you that we are taking excellent advantage of the resources that you provide to us. 2 cases in point, in the budget last year, you provided resources for us to create an in-house laboratory. And that laboratory we're simply in the purchasing and process to make sure we can get it put in the Comer building. That's going to be a game changer for us. We'll be able to do in-house laboratory testing for all of the many drug tests that we have to take all the time, and that's because of funding that you made available. You also made available to us the resources for us to have a new parking gate over there, Chief Mitchell, and likes this one because we believe we just need a more modern parking gate at the building so that people don't have to come in and then pay $2 for being in there for 30 minutes because of how it works. We just can't manipulate it any other way. But we also believe that there's a way to monetize that gate on weekends as traffic flows change downtown. Our parking lot is prime space for people to be able to park at City Walk and at the Civic Center. And so putting a new parking gate allows us to maximize that. At one point, you may not know this, when our gate was optimized, it was earning about $70,000 annually with the old system. And so we believe with the new system that it'll also continue to bring in revenue. I won't give you all the other metrics. You have it in your packet, all the numbers that are in there that have to do with the number of complaints we have. The magistrates you talk about all the time, our magistrates did 4,500 probable cause hearings last year. That's a team of 8 people doing that many probable cause hearings to see if we can move forward on criminal cases. They're busy and they're open every day of the year except Christmas and Thanksgiving. They do a fabulous job. I want to brag on them a little bit in front of you because they are often not seeing what they do, but they are often complained about if somebody doesn't like what they do. And I want to make sure you hear and saw them. But that's all we have for you right now. I do want to introduce you to one of our court administrators. I think she stood up earlier. Her name is Melanie Colston. She came to us about almost 2 years ago. She had previous stints in Trussville as the chief magistrate and in Irondale as the chief magistrate. And she's been with us now, and we are glad to have her with us.
One final question.
Yes, sir.
During the pandemic, they got in a situation where you couldn't have court and there was a backlog of cases. Have you guys been able to work through the backlog?
Yes, sir. If you recall, about a year and a half ago at the Boutwell Auditorium, we had what's called Rocket Docket. And we were able to catch up with some of those cases. We got some of them caught up, and we were able to get a lot of people taken care of. This latest posture we find ourselves in is sensitive to us because in 2018, our operation became paperless, or paper light, as we say. We can never be fully paperless because we have too many partners who give us paper. And until they get their operations paperless, we can't fully convert. But we have been able to go back to the time when some of us were still aware of files and how to pull files and do work from that. And so it's been a creative opportunity for our staff to be able to go in and do things the way we were previously doing it. And that's what's going on right now. So we're working on it.
So we were able to clear a lot of the backlog with the pandemic, but we have a new situation that's presented another challenge.
Yes, sir. Life keeps life, and we still have to deal with circumstances. But we're able to keep up with our current caseload. Now, we do have some that have been, that we have to go back and pull, and that's a creative opportunity for us to go back and make sure. That's those FTAs that we're talking about. We have to go out there and get them. And the public should know that there are FTAs, and so if they have business that they need to take care of at municipal court, they do well to come out there and take care of that business, because it's better for them to come in there and take care of it by walking through the front door than for us to have to bring them through the back door of the court. We tell them that all the time. We'd appreciate them resolving it. And there's one misconception we need to give people. We need to change from people. People think that if they come to the building to resolve things, as soon as they get to the property, they'll be arrested. That's not the case. We want people to come to the court and resolve their issues. We encourage them to come to the court and resolve their issues, because to have it the opposite would be a chilling effect on people coming down there and resolving anything. And so we're encouraging people, if they believe they have something going on down there, and most of them already know, please come down to the building so we can help you resolve those issues. There may be some consequences to pay, but it's not going to be as bad as us having to drive you down in the back of a police car.
All right. Councilor Williams, adjournment finger is getting itchy, so.
I know, and I gotta go vote too, but, I have a personal experience with the court, and you might remember my late nephew. And I know that he didn't have income, and he was saddled with all these fines and fees. And I just want to ask you about, the fines and fees and the cost of participating in this justice system. Because, I was punished because I had to pay all his fines and fees. So I didn't commit any crime.
I'm glad you said that, Counselor. I want to tell you, we had someone prepared to talk today about the fines and fees from our collection office. Because many people don't know, when you pay court costs at the court, every bit of that court cost is chopped up and sent to a different location around the state. Hardly any of it comes to the city of Birmingham. The legislature sets these fees. We don't set those fees. And so while it is a lot, we do everything we can at municipal court to lessen the impact on people. We have an entire section in the court that we call Life University, where you are able to earn community service, not always in the traditional way. We have a lot of people who do community service by doing litter pickups for your cleanup days. We send a lot of people out for that. They get it that way. But we also do community service for life learning. We think any situation we can put you in that helps you grow as a citizen is an opportunity for you to get community service hours. And so for people getting their driver's license, or for people learning a new skill, we give them community service. One of the things I didn't talk about was we've had, through our GED program at the court, we've had 4 people in the past couple of years to obtain. We had 2 people obtain their GED. Lawson State University is at municipal court. And we've also had 3 people who graduated with their high school diploma. They went back to school and got their high school diploma because they got in trouble and came to the court. So we're pushing people in that direction to help make them better. And the question is, why do we do that, Counselor? Because we believe it reduces recidivism. When people do better, they don't get in trouble anymore. And so we do everything we can to lessen the impact financially on people. But there's just some fines we can't do away with. And I'm sorry you took a hit like that. I hope your nephew's doing better.
He's deceased. He should have been in the mental health court, not in the alcohol court. He was self-medicating, mental health disorder, but anyway.
We're trying to catch as many as we can. Yeah, God bless you.
All right.
All
Councilor
right.
Williams?
Yeah, thank y'all all for your time. I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.